Chapter 34:18. What's going on? Why did Purple City and Luyen City sound the alarm? I'm in Purple City and I'm panicking. According to some of the brothers in Purple City, the Lightning Race's senior brother has broken through to the First Order Universe sovereign realm. The experts invited by the four superpowers were defeated by the Lightning Race's senior brother. The four superpowers are finished. I'm in Divine Thunder City and I'm panicking too. I saw the experts of Divine Thunder City escaping with their disciples. They didn't even want the city anymore. How could this be? The Lightning Race's senior brother suddenly broke through. He changed the entire battle single-handedly. The four superpowers have been suppressing the Lightning Race for more than 10 days. They were almost completely suppressed. In the end, the Lightning Race's senior brother broke through. This senior brother is really terrifying. The Lightning Race has started their counterattack. The situation at the Great Lightning Institute, Purple City, Divine Thunder City, and Luyen City couldn't be concealed. When the experts from Divine Thunder City fled and the experts from Purple City and Luyen City used the teleportation array to head to the Great Lightning Institute, it caused a huge commotion. Everyone thought that the battle was over. However, no one had expected the Lightning Race's senior brother to suddenly break through. Furthermore, he had defeated the First Order Sovereign Realm experts invited by the four forces. This sudden change caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. With such a change, they also knew that the battle situation had been completely reversed. Next, it was time for the Lightning Race's counterattack and the Divine Thunder City to escape. Furthermore, as everyone expected, the Lightning Race had already started their attack. Before long, the experts from Purple City and Luyen City arrived at the Great Lightning Institute's teleportation array. The experts from Purple City and Luyen City shouted with ugly expressions as they arrived at the main hall of the Great Lightning Institute. Let your disciples enter the blessed enclave first. First Elder, go and make the arrangements. The Dean of the Great Lightning Institute instructed his subordinates with a solemn expression. The First Elder nodded. Dean, what should we do next? The City Lord of Purple City couldn't help but ask. Our blessed enclave is much stronger than the Lightning Races. It's impossible for the Lightning Race to break through. However, they will definitely suppress us. The Dean of the Great Lightning Institute said with a solemn expression. Now it was their turn to be attacked. However, the Great Lane Academy was also confident in the defense of their blessed enclave. Even a First Order Sovereign Realm expert wouldn't be able to break through it. Only Second Order Sovereigns could do so. But they had to think about the future. Do we need experts to provide support outside? Investigate the situation? Or he could have a group of disciples hide and wait for an opportunity to strike. Dean, the spirit tablets of the two patriarchs and Thunder Lion have already cracked. They should have been killed by the Thunder Light Race's big senior brother. There are only the four of us left with peak universe supremacy battle power. A Lightning Race ancestor said with an extremely ugly expression. Since the start of the war, the number of pinnacle supremacies that had died at the hands of the Lightning Race's big senior brother had already reached 5. That was more than half of the experts in the Great Lane Academy. Now, including Purple City and Luyen City, they only had 6 pinnacle universe supremacies. Even without the Thunderlight Tribe's eldest senior brother, they would not be a match for the Thunderlight Tribe. Patriarch, why don't I lead some seeds and elites to hide in the outside world and seek to break through, seeking to raise their combat power to the universe ruler level one day? An old ancestor said with a changing expression. All right. The Great Lane Academy's dean clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Third ancestor, fifth ancestor, the two of you will lead a group of disciples and experts with potential to hide in the outside world and seek to break through. We will seek to break through in the blessed grotto heavens. He looked at the two old ancestors and said. The two old ancestors nodded their heads solemnly, their eyes filled with a violent killing intent. Even if we can't break through, we will not let the Thunderlight Tribe have peace. Immediately lead the disciples and leave. According to the news, they will arrive in at most 5 hours. The Great Lane Academy's dean leaned on his throne and said tiredly. When the first battle had started, they had thought that they would definitely win. However, the sudden appearance of the Thunder Light Tribe's big senior brother had caused them to lose completely. They still had 100% confidence in the second battle. In fact, they had even enjoyed victory for more than 10 days. However, they had never expected the Thunder Light Tribe's big senior brother to break through again. Everything is because of the Thunder Light Tribe's big senior brother. He mumbled to himself, his eyes filled with hatred. However, he felt even more powerless. The Thunder Light Tribe had produced an expert, although he wasn't their disciple. In the Great Layin Academy, all the disciples and citizens started moving. They moved all the treasures and items into the blessed grotto heavens. This made the blessed grotto heavens of the Great Layin Academy slightly crowded. The Great Layin Academy is right ahead. At the same time, Wang Xian and the Thunder Light Tribe had arrived in front of the Great Layin Academy through teleportation and flight. All the disciples were aggressive and had a strong will to fight. Seeing that the Great Layin Academy had already appeared in their sights, they approached it quickly. The Thunder Light Tribe has been waiting for this day, for the army of the Thunder Light Tribe to step into the territory of the Great Layin Academy. Today we have finally done it. Ha! The chief of the Thunder Light Tribe and the rest cheered excitedly. Billions of grudges. Today, the Thunder Light Tribe is luckier and has emerged victorious. All disciples, kill your way into the Great Layin Academy. The group of supreme elders, and experts roared and took the lead to rush forward. Wang Xian sat at the front and scanned his surroundings with a smile. Under his dragon eyes, the Great Layin Academy seemed exceptionally desolate. Just like the Thunder Light Tribe not long ago, all the experts and disciples of the Great Layin Academy had hidden in the blessed grotto heavens. They knew that they weren't a match for the Thunder Light Tribe. Great Layin Academy, to think that you guys would have such a day. All the disciples roared excitedly as they flew towards the Great Layin Academy and the Purple Divinity Academy. That was the core of the Great Layin Academy, the blessed grotto heavens. When they arrived at the front, they let out excited roars. Within the Purple Divinity Academy, a massive purple energy shrouded the surroundings. In front of the Purple Divinity Academy, the president of the Great Layin Academy, the city lords of the Purple City, and the city lords of the Luyan City stood at the front and looked at the army of the Thunder Light Tribe from afar with bitter expressions. At this moment, their emotions were even worse than what the Thunder Light Tribe had experienced not long ago. Behind them, the disciples of the Great Layin Academy, Purple City, and Luyan City were all pale and filled with hatred. Chapter 34:19 Old Monk, the grudge between the Thunder Light Tribe and the Great Layin Academy, which is worth close to 10 billion, is finally settled. The leader of the Thunder Light Tribe looked coldly at the Great Layin Academy and the rest of the people in the paradise. Settled? As long as the Great Layin Academy isn't destroyed, the grudge between us will never be settled. I admit that the Thunder Light Tribe is lucky to have obtained a powerful expert. However, it won't be long before the Great Layin Academy steps into the chaotic continent again. When that time comes, the Thunder Light Tribe will pay the price in blood. The leader of the Great Layin Academy stood in the paradise with a murderous look on his face as he bellowed. His eyes turned to Wang Xian, and the hatred in his eyes intensified. And this big senior brother of the Thunder Light Tribe, the disciples of the Great Layin Academy will never forget today's grudge. The day when we stand up for you will be the day you pay the price. When that time comes, the Great Layin Academy will fight to the death with you and your bloodline. The leader of the Great Layin Academy swears on my blood and bloodline that you will pay the price. If I can't do it, I'll die a horrible death. The leader of the Great Layin Academy stared at Wang Xian and swore coldly. One day, the blood of the Thunder Light Tribe will flow like a river. Zi Cheng, the city lord of Luyan City, and the other experts bellowed with murderous intent. Blood will flow like a river. Blood will flow like a river. All the experts of the three major forces bellowed furiously from behind. All of them had hideous looks on their faces. At this point in time, they looked exceptionally crazy. This was because they knew that they would have to live here for a very long time and be suppressed in this small space for a very, very long time. This grudge was as deep as a sea of blood. Ha! Old monk, all you can do now is shout verbally. It's all right, continue shouting. If you don't, you won't have another chance in the future. That's because all of you will disappear in the long river of the universe forever. The leader of the Thunderlight tribe laughed heartily and said sarcastically, "Next, we will suppress all of you so that you will never see the light of day again." The group of experts from the Thunderlight race laughed heartily. "Ha, you better not let us see the light of day again. Otherwise, it will be the time of your calamity." The headmaster of the Great Layeen Academy roared in a frenzy. Wang Xian snorted softly. His figure disappeared instantly and reappeared in front of the purple thunderbolt. His arms turned into dragon claws and slammed heavily on it. Boom! An incomparably loud sound rang out, but the purple energy did not move at all. This defensive power was much stronger than that of the lightning race's paradise. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. He took out the 5 elements grindstone, injected energy into it, and smashed it. Boom, boom, boom. Loud noises kept ringing out, but this powerful defense didn't budge at all. It's impossible to break the defense of our Great Layeen Academy. Do you really think you're invincible? An old ancestor of the Great Layeen Academy looked over with a murderous look on his face. Wang Xian, the defense of the Grotto Heaven and blessed land of the Great Tempest Academy is very strong. We don't have to kill them. Just suppress them directly. The leader of the lightning race and the rest flew over and said to Wang Xian, "Hee, I don't like them." Wang Xian said plainly, "Big senior brother, there's nothing we can do even if we're unhappy. It's the same if we suppress them. After that, they won't have any treasures or resources. They'll never be able to make it out if they stay in there. A Grotto Heaven and blessed land alone won't be able to support their cultivation for so long." The great elder chuckled. They didn't expect to destroy the Great Tempest Academy. Suppressing them was also their extravagant hope. Wang Xian smiled and didn't say anything. He took out the Universe AI and contacted Enlai. He hated it the most when people threatened him. Did they think they would be safe by hiding in the defense of the Grotto Heaven and blessed land? That would be wishful thinking. All disciples of the Great Tempest Academy, remember our enemies in our minds. This will be the motivation for our cultivation. The president of the Great Tempest Academy said solemnly. Yes. The eyes of the disciples were bloodshot as they stared at every member of the lightning race. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them. With a swift move, he flew to a place where they couldn't see. Ha! The leader of the lightning race looked curiously at the departing Wang Xian. After which, he swept his gaze across the surrounding disciples and experts. Start suppressing those reckless fools from the Great Tempest Academy. The group of experts and disciples of the lightning race answered immediately. Greetings, Dragon King. At this moment, Enlai appeared in front of Wang Xian from the sky. Be careful when you enter the Grotto Heaven and blessed land. They're all enemies. Also, bring me over. Wang Xian nodded his head and ordered him. Yes, Dragon King. This is a small matter. Enlai looked at the Grotto Heaven and blessed land. With a smile on his face, he disappeared instantly. However, in just an instant he appeared in front of Wang Xian again. A wave of energy shrouded Wang Xian and he disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared within the Grotto Heaven and blessed land of the Great Tempest Academy. In front of him, all the experts and disciples from the Great Tempest Academy, Purple City, and Luyan City were staring at the lightning race with hatred. No one sensed that Wang Xian had entered their territory. He chuckled and flapped his unbeginning saint wings slightly. In the next moment he flew to the front. On his left and right were the director of the Great Tempest Academy, the Laozu, the city lord of Luyan City, and the rest of the experts. You just said that you will fight me to the death and make me, as well as those related to my bloodline, pay the price. Wang Xian spoke. Man Lai tilted his head and spoke with a smile. At this moment, the director of the Great Tempest Academy and the rest had yet to react due to Wang Xian's uncanny speed. When he heard this, all the hair on his body stood up, and his eyes were instantly filled with horror. The director of the Great Tempest Academy turned his head stiffly and stared at Wang Xian with trembling eyes. "Don't you recognize me?" Wang Xian chuckled and patted him on the shoulder in a carefree manner. Cold sweat trickled down the head of the director of the Great Tempest Academy. "No, no, no, no." At this moment, the Laozu of the Great Tempest Academy, Purple City, and the City Lord of Luyan City naturally saw Wang Xian. They could only see darkness in front of them. They could not help but take a few steps back and spoke with fear and despair. A great horror had descended. "Why are you so afraid? Weren't you very arrogant just now?" Wang Xian looked at them and said with a smile. "Continue to clamor? Hee hee." Chapter 34:20. How did you get in? How did you get into our grotto heaven? How could this be? How did he get in? No. Big senior brother from the Thunder Ray Academy. How did he get in? Within the grotto heaven of the Great Thunderclap Academy, fear and panic filled everyone's minds. They widened their eyes in disbelief as they stared at the figure standing beside their dean. The big senior brother from the Thunder Ray Academy, the invincible opponent. They had already been forced into the grotto heaven and were prepared to survive here. But now, the big senior brother from the Thunder Ray Academy had suddenly entered. In that case, the only fate awaiting them was death. This made them tremble uncontrollably. Compared to being suppressed in the grotto heaven, they had merely lost some freedom. However, they could still survive and live here. Once they died, they would have nothing left. The arrival of the big senior brother from the Thunder Ray Academy was a declaration of their demise. "All of you can die in peace." Wang Xian looked at the four pinnacle supremacies beside him and said emotionlessly. The dean of the Great Thunderclap Academy, a Laozu of the Great Thunderclap Academy, the City Lord of Luyan City, and the City Lord of Purple City. The four of them looked extremely pale and were filled with despair and bitterness. "Can you tell us how did you get into the grotto heaven of the Great Thunderclap Academy?" The dean of the Great Thunderclap Academy asked Wang Xian indignantly. "I can't." Wang Xian chuckled and waved his arm. A wave of energy enveloped them completely. Soul assimilation. He murmured softly as a stream of information entered his mind. Information about the Great Thunderclap Academy, Luyan City, and Purple City appeared. In addition, there was information about the two Laozu of the Great Thunderclap Academy leading their elite disciples to hide outside. He smiled faintly and waved his arm. A wave of death energy enveloped the four pinnacle supremacies. No. Kill him. Kill him. He's trying to kill us. The dean and the rest have been killed. What should we do? I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Behind them, when everyone saw their dean and city lord collapsing, they screamed in panic and despair. Some disciples broke down completely. "I'll fight you to the death." A level 9 universe venerable expert roared and charged towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian chuckled. With a wave of his arm, a level 9 universe venerable expert was killed instantly. He smiled disdainfully and glanced at everyone from the three great forces. An invisible pressure pressed down on them until they were somewhat unable to breathe. "Fuck, look at the Great Layin Academy's blessed abode. Our eldest senior brother has entered. Our eldest senior brother actually entered their blessed enclave, huh? When did our eldest senior brother enter?" The dean of the Great Layin Academy and the others were slaughtered by eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother is invincible. Did you just say that you would destroy us after coming out? Now that our eldest senior brother has entered, their doomsday has come. At the same time, the powerhouses of the Thunderlight tribe were already preparing to suppress the three great factions. At this moment, they suddenly saw Wang Xian appearing in the interior of the grotto heaven and blessed land. All of them widened their eyes in shock. Eldest senior brother actually entered it. The doomsday of the three great powers was coming. The Lightning Light tribe leader and the rest were also filled with disbelief and shock. Eldest senior brother was simply omnipotent. Rumble. Inside the grotto heaven of the Great Layin Academy, Wang Xian waved his arm and a destructive force swept towards the powerhouses of the three great forces. The terrifying energy wasn't something they could withstand. Screams rang out. They screamed helplessly and in despair. "Don't kill us, don't kill us." The civilians and weaker disciples at the back knelt on the ground and cried out loudly. Wang Xian swept a glance at them and didn't make a move. He would leave these weak disciples and civilians to the Lightning Light tribe. He wouldn't participate in killing or anything else. He moved and came to the front of the defensive array switch of the Grotto Heaven and Blessed Land. He deactivated the defensive array. With the disappearance of the array, Wang Xian's body shook. Chains covered the entire void, trapping everyone within. Under his shroud, no one would be able to escape. "Wang Xian, you are simply too strong. Few, eldest senior brother, is an invincible existence." The Lightning Light tribe leader and the rest flew over excitedly and exclaimed. It was simply a nightmare to have such an enemy. The defense of the Grotto Heaven of the Great Lane Academy was much stronger than the Lightning Light tribe. Yet, Wang Xian had entered it easily. This unimaginable method was frightening. Chief, I'll leave them to you to deal with. Also, please pass their corpses to me. As for the treasures other than those with wind and lightning attributes, please give them to me. I have use for them." Wang Xian said with a smile. All of these were obtained by you. Without you, the Lightning Light tribe would have been suppressed. The chief of the Lightning Light tribe laughed heartily. "It's fine. I only need these. I don't need the other lightning attribute treasures." Wang Xian shook his head. He had helped the Lightning Light tribe destroy the 3 great forces and gave them all these treasures. He had almost repaid the favor. In the future, they would still be friends. However, he didn't have to give them all the treasures that he had obtained. Let's take a look at the treasure vaults of the 3 great forces first. Great Elder, bring some men and imprison all the disciples of the 3 great forces. The chief of the Lightning Light tribe ordered. The Great Elder and the others immediately responded, and their faces were filled with excitement. This time, they had annihilated the 3 great forces and obtained their blessed Grotto Heavens. This would greatly benefit the development of the Lightning Light tribe. In particular, the blessed Grotto Heavens of the Great Lane Academy were even more impressive than the Lightning Light tribe. Not to mention the other treasures. Victory! The Great Elder and the rest couldn't help but shout. Victory! The group of experts and disciples roared. Chief, let's go. I know where their treasure vault is. Let's go in and take a look. Wang Xian looked at the chief of the Lightning Light tribe and the rest as he spoke. Wang Xian, you can take all the treasures in the treasure vault. The chief of the Lightning Light tribe and the rest were a little embarrassed. I'll take anything that I can use. Wang Xian chuckled. With a wave of his arm, he brought them to the deepest part of the Blessed Grotto Heavens. In the deepest part of the Blessed Grotto Heavens was a mountain that spanned over 10,000 meters. In front of the mountain was a cave entrance. This was the treasure vault of the Great Lane Academy. This was the accumulation of a force over 10 billion years. Let's go. Wang Xian's eyes were burning. With a wave of his arm, he opened the door of the treasure vault and entered. Chapter 34:21. According to Wang Xian's memories, the treasure vault of the Great Thunderclap Academy was filled with treasures. However, it was a pity that they had to fork out a lot of treasures to invite that universe lord. Even so, the items inside would still drive people crazy. Wang Xian and the rest felt a majestic energy the moment they entered the treasure vault. The Great Thunderclap Academy has a deep foundation. They were born earlier than us, the Thunderlight tribe. The leader of the Thunderlight tribe looked around with glistening eyes. Most of them are lightning-attributed treasures. Wang Xian looked around. The treasure vault was filled with various kinds of lightning-attributed weapons. These weapons were all below acquired spiritual treasures. There were millions of them, and this was considered a small-scale weapon vault. Wang Xian and the rest continued forward. The energy in the depths was even more majestic. Similarly, it was mainly lightning attributed. Acquired spiritual treasures, utmost acquired treasures. When they reached the deepest part, Wang Xian looked to his right with a smile. He walked over and saw a dark yellow earth-attributed flag. He waved his arm and the flag flew over, exuding a powerful aura. Connate spiritual treasure. This was the only connate spiritual treasure in the Great Thunderclap Academy that was not lightning attributed. Earth-attributed treasures could be absorbed by the 5 elements grind. After absorbing it, the 5 elements grind should be able to achieve a breakthrough. He murmured. Previously, the 5 elements grind had absorbed the Fire Spirit Ball of the Universe Lord level. It had already improved tremendously and was only a step away from the First Order Universe Lord level. If he absorbed this connate spiritual treasure now, the 5 elements grind should be able to achieve a breakthrough. However, it would be difficult for the Tai Chi Dragon Board to achieve a breakthrough. He only had a darkness-attributed connate spiritual treasure that could raise the Tai Chi Dragon Board to the pinnacle of the Universe Lord level. To achieve another breakthrough, he would need a light and dark attribute connate spiritual treasure. Wang Xian kept the connate spiritual treasure flag. The leader of the Thunderlight tribe and the rest had no objections. Other than this connate spiritual treasure, there were dozens of weapons that were not of the wind and thunder attributes. There were the 5 elements, as well as light and dark. Wang Xian kept all of them, including some elixir pills. There were many elixir pills, but they were far from enough for him to achieve another breakthrough. Leader, I won't take the rest. Leave them to the other disciples and experts. Wang Xian said to the leader of the Thunder Ray tribe and the rest. These treasures are too valuable. Wang Xian, you should keep these 2 innate spiritual treasures as well. The Thunderlight tribe patriarch exchanged glances and shook his head. There were a total of 3 innate spiritual treasures in the Great Thunderclap Academy, but Wang Xian did not want any of them. Patriarch, you can use this. Take it. Wang Xian said with a smile. All right. The Thunderlight tribe patriarch did not refuse. Wang Xian, come over and take a look at this. This is a very special item and it's worth a lot. At this moment, the Thunder Ray tribe's Grand Elder was holding a blue ancient blueprint in his hands. The entire ancient blueprint was emitting a faint blue light, like a wave. When Wang Xian looked over, he was curious. This ancient drawing was like a living thing. The water attribute energy on it condensed into a swimming fish. There were also some sailboats drifting on it. The half-meter-long ancient drawing presented a world. This seems to be the eternal river of heaven. The leader of the Thunderlight race walked over to take a look and guessed. Eternal Heaven River? Wang Xian revealed a curious look. The eternal river of heaven isn't too far from where we are. It would take a few years to get there by flying. Using the teleportation formation, it would take about a month. It's a place of suppression and also a resplendent place. The leader of the Thunderlight race explained to him. Over 10 billion years ago, 2 races had a huge war there. One of them was suppressed there. Later on, the other race was annihilated by a giant galactic beast and turned into ruins. The entire eternal river of heaven was occupied by that giant galactic beast. Rumor has it that it still lives at the bottom of the eternal river of heaven. No forces dared to occupy those blessed lands. However, many experts went there to seek treasures and train. The eternal river of heaven can be considered a branch of the mountains and seas. It should be the eternal river of heaven. It's just that I don't know what this ancient drawing describes and what it's used for. The Thunderlight race's Grand Elder looked at the ancient drawing and shook his head. Look at the ripples on it. The ripples are circular and form a lotus pattern. It should be related to the 12th tier water lotus of the eternal river of heaven. However, the possibility is low. The leader of the Thunderlight race continued. It's true. The Supreme Elder of the Thunderlight race nodded his head. 12th tier water lotus? Chief, what treasure is that? Wang Xian asked curiously. The 12th tier water lotus can be considered an inborn cardinal treasure weapon. It can also be considered a powerful water attribute cultivation treasure. No one has seen it before. However, the 6th and 9th tier water lotus have appeared before. The leader of the Thunderlight race explained. Wang Xian nodded his head. An inborn cardinal treasure was not something that a force like the Thunderlight race could possess. Even if they managed to get their hands on one, it would be snatched away by experts. Supreme Elder, give me this ancient drawing. I'll go there to take a look when I'm free. Wang Xian said. Now that he had helped the Thunderlight race get rid of the Great Lane Academy, he did not intend to stay here any longer. He wanted to go to other places to look for resources and treasures. The Eternal River of Heaven was a good place to go. After all, the territory of the Divine Dragon was in the ocean. Alright, here you go. The Supreme Elder nodded his head and passed the ancient drawing to him. Other than this ancient drawing, Wang Xian was not too interested in the other items. He did not want any of the peculiar and special items either. Chief, let's go to the treasure vaults of the Purple City and Luyan City. All the treasures in the Purple City and Luyan City had been transferred to the Holy Kingdom of the City Lords. Their holy kingdoms had also been transferred to the Blessed Grotto Heavens. Wang Xian brought them along and flew over. There were all sorts of treasures and they had a great harvest. Just as Wang Xian and the rest were collecting the spoils of war, the news of the annihilation of the Great Lane Academy, Purple City and Luyan City had spread. Being annihilated and being suppressed were two completely different concepts. The big senior brother of the Thunderlight race had made a breakthrough and fought back. They had expected the Great Lane Academy to be defeated and the three major forces to be suppressed. However, none of the forces, experts and disciples had expected the Great Lane Academy and the other two major forces to be completely annihilated. Given the foundation of the Great Lane Academy and the blessed Grotto Heavens that they occupied, it was impossible unless there was an expert who surpassed the Universe Lord Realm. Chapter 34:22. The Great Lane Academy, Purple City and Luyan City were actually annihilated by the Thunderlight race. This is annihilation. Hiss, they had a blessed paradise, but it was still destroyed. Isn't this too terrifying? I heard that the elder senior brother of the Thunder Ray race has entered their paradise. This ability is terrifying. In the Thundercloud domain and the surrounding areas, all the forces and experts were shocked when they heard the news from the Great Lane Academy. All the forces were panicking. The heavenly abode of a race was their greatest trump card. That was their greatest safeguard. Even if they were suppressed, they wouldn't be annihilated. They still had a chance to make a comeback. However, once the defense of the Blessed Enclave was broken, the entire race would be wiped out. Who wouldn't panic in the face of such an enemy? He was completely panicking. This made them even more fearful of the first senior brother of the Lightning Tribe. If they provoked the other party, who could guarantee that the defense of their Blessed Enclave was stronger than that of the Great Lane Academy? Not to mention the strength of the Lightning race's eldest senior brother. He was crowned king in one battle. The Great Lane Academy had been destroyed, Luyan City had been destroyed, and Purple City had been destroyed. Very soon, news of the destruction of the three great factions spread. The blessed lands of the three great factions had all been occupied by the Thunderlight tribe. Thank you so much, Wang Xian. Please accept our gratitude as well. 2 days later, in the main palace of the Thunder Ray tribe, the tribe leader and the other experts greeted Wang Xian respectfully. He bowed sincerely. Patriarch, you're too polite. Wang Xian looked at them and smiled. He raised his hand. This bow is a must. It is our Thunder Ray race's honor to have the help of such a true dragon. The clan leader chuckled. After a moment of hesitation, he continued, Wang Xian, do you have any plans for the future? I might go out to train in the future. To be honest with you, I have my own forces, and I'm not from the ancestral dragon's bloodline. Wang Xian did not hide anything and said, if the Thunder Ray race encounters any difficulties in the future, you can look for me. The clan leader and the rest were slightly taken aback. They had not expected Wang Xian to not be from the ancestral dragon lineage. All right. The group of experts from the Thunderlight race also understood that their little river couldn't contain a true dragon. It was already a great benefit for them to receive Wang Xian's promise. Furthermore, they had obtained so many treasures and blessed lands this time around, which would also increase the overall strength of the Lightning race. All right, Patriarch. I'll return to the palace first. I'll probably head out to train soon. When that time comes, I won't be greeting you. As Wang Xian spoke, he returned to his palace. His figure flickered and returned to the Dragon Palace. Greetings, Dragon King. In the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle immediately bowed to him respectfully. Today, the Dragon Palace was a little deserted. Of the nearly 2 million disciples of the Dragon Palace, more than 1 million had already left and entered the inner regions of the chaotic continent to gain experience. Now that a few years had passed, they had reached the interior. I have some resources here for them to upgrade. With a wave of his arm, Wang Xian placed the corpses he had obtained from the Great Leying Academy, Luyan City, and Purple City aside. There were a total of 14 Pinnacle Universe Venerable corpses. As for the Universe Venerable Level 9 corpses, there were more than 80 of them. There were also many Rank 8 and Rank 7 corpses. This would allow the members of the Dragon Palace to improve tremendously. Dragon King, you actually obtained so many corpses. I'll inform them to come back and upgrade their strength first. Prime Minister Turtle looked at the pile of corpses and was shocked as he replied immediately, 14 corpses should allow the Heavenly Formation's combat strength to break through to the Universe Lord level. Wang Xian nodded. Dragon King, Ao Xie and the rest have not left. They are devouring a few dragon palaces. It's a little difficult now. We can upgrade their strength to the Pinnacle Universe Venerable level first. In this way, they will be able to break through to the Universe Lord level soon. Prime Minister Turtle suggested. All right, I'll leave it to you. Wang Xian nodded. The Universe Lord level dragon palaces were not that easy to devour. However, once they devoured them, they would definitely be able to break through. How many First Order Universe Sovereigns would the Dragon Palace be able to produce was still uncertain. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and left. Wang Xian took out the treasures he had obtained one by one. Earth and Darkness attribute innate spiritual treasures. The rest were acquired treasures and spiritual treasures. He took out the 5 Elements Grindstone and the Tai Chi Dragon Plate and started absorbing immediately. Time passed day by day. Half a month later, the Tai Chi Dragon Plate spun rapidly. The 2 divine dragons that looked like a painting let out roars. Wang Xian revealed a smile. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate had broken through. After the breakthrough, no attack below the Universe Lord level could break through the Tai Chi Dragon Plate. At the side, the 5 Elements Grindstone was still absorbing the Earth attribute innate spiritual treasure. A heavy aura spread to the surroundings. Wang Xian placed his palm on it. The dense 5 Elements power assisted the 5 Elements Grindstone in refining. The breakthrough was imminent. Before long, a series of roars could be heard. The 5 divine dragons on the 5 Elements Grindstone intertwined and exuded a terrifying aura. This aura made even Universe First Order Sovereigns tremble in fear. After the breakthrough of the 5 Elements Grindstone, Wang Xian's strength had increased exponentially. He had no problem fighting against 5 to 6 opponents at the same time. However, it would be more difficult if the opponents had innate spiritual treasures. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate and the 5 Elements Grindstone had both improved. This put Wang Xian in a good mood. They planned to accompany the girls for a while before heading out to look for resources. It was only after entering the chaotic continent that Wang Xian deeply felt the cheapness of time. Without the teleportation array, it would take a few years to travel from one place to another. If he were to travel further, he might have to fly for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. A year's time seemed like a day to him. The internal area was recorded in terms of eras. An era of 100,000 years. Wang Xian accompanied the girls to rest for a few years. The disciples of the Dragon Palace rushed back after a short while to improve their strength. Subsequently, Wang Xian got in line to send them to the internal area to save some time. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Wang Xian arrived at the Thunderlight tribe. He walked out of the palace and looked around. Eldest senior brother. Greetings, eldest senior brother. All the disciples who saw Wang Xian stopped immediately and greeted him respectfully. The current eldest senior brother was the strongest expert in the Thunderlight tribe. He was also their savior. Wang Xian nodded at them. After a casual walk, he left through the teleportation array. Chapter 34-23. The water of the eternal river of heaven came from the heavens. It flowed into the mountains and seas. The so-called sky was not really the sky, but an incomparably huge snow mountain. The shape of this snowy mountain was very peculiar. There was a piece extending from the top of the mountain, and the length of the piece was over 1 trillion kilometers. It extended all the way to the warmer regions, where the snow melted into water and flowed down from above. This was the eternal river of heaven. Water came from the heavens. It was also known as the heavenly waterfall. The eternal heaven river was not very far from the thunder ray race. It would only take a little more than a month to arrive. Wang Xian had no idea where he should go to train and look for resources. Hence, he decided to come to the eternal river to see if he could find any treasures from the ancient map. The teleportation process still required a period of flight. Flying in the sky, one could occasionally hear roars. Wang Xian's speed had a qualitative improvement compared to before. As he flew, he could tear apart the sky above the chaotic continent. A first-order universe ruler's combat strength was considered a peak expert in the great desolate continent. In less than a month, Wang Xian arrived at the nearest city to the Tianheng River. Eternal Sky City. The Eternal Sky City was not close to the Eternal Sky River. Wang Xian would need a week to fly there. Currently, no faction dared to set up their base near the Eternal River of Heaven, because a terrifying giant star beast was hiding there. A large number of people living there might attract the attention of the star behemoth. Therefore, the nearest Tianheng city was also quite far away. However, the strength of the Eternal Heaven City was not weak. The Eternal Sky City's city lord had the combat strength of a first-order universe sovereign and was considered a large city. Usually, experts who entered the Eternal Heaven River would use the teleportation array to reach here. Wang Xian walked out of the teleportation formation and arrived at the city. He scanned the surroundings. The city was huge. The area of the mountains and rivers was even bigger than the entire Great Thunderclap Academy. There were many people in the city. There were residents and some experts who rushed over from the teleportation formation. It's quite prosperous. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and revealed a smile. He walked on the road. There were many humans and beasts around him, but it was very peaceful. The city was a little quieter, and there were all kinds of items for sale on both sides of the street. In this place, there was less killing intent and more tranquility. Wang Xian wasn't in a hurry. He headed straight for the Heaven Everlasting River and wandered around the area. This is the 100 Cities Alliance? After walking for more than 2 hours, Wang Xian saw a huge building. There were many people going in and out of the building. With a curious look on his face, he walked inside. What entered his eyes was a huge screen with all sorts of quests on it. At the very top was the 100 City Alliance quest panel. The top missions were to kill a third-order universe sovereign realm desolate beast and assassinate the leader of a certain force. This is quite interesting. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he turned on his computer to check on the 100 Cities Alliance. Very strong. Seeing this 100 Cities Alliance, he was slightly surprised. The so-called 100 Cities Alliance, as its name suggested, was an alliance. The 100 Cities Alliance was not just 100 cities, but 108 cities in one alliance. Firstly, the strength of the city required a universe ruler-level expert to oversee it. Secondly, the city was completely neutral and did not participate in anything. The 100 Cities Alliance had formed an alliance for one main purpose, and that was that no one was allowed to fight within the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. Otherwise, they would be hunted down by the 100 Cities Alliance. An alliance with hundreds of universe ruler-level powerhouses who would dare to provoke them. The strength of the 100 Cities Alliance was also very strong within the chaotic continent. However, because they were neutral, the other races were not worried. Moreover, the 100 Cities Alliance was an alliance based on rules, so they were not too feared. If a force were to clash with a city of the 100 Cities Alliance, they could declare a challenge, and the experts of the 100 Cities Alliance would make a statement from a fair point of view. There was a high chance that they would not interfere. Of course, there was a possibility that they would side with the other party. After all, they were in an alliance. The strength of the 100 Cities Alliance also gave rise to the 100 Cities Alliance's missions. Some people could set up missions within the cities, and the 100 Cities Alliance would act as a guarantor. It was similar to the Mercenary Association. Wang Xian looked around and realized that there were many missions related to the Heaven Everlasting River. For example, news about the 12th tier water lotus. News about the 9th tier water lotus. Wait, I heard that Azure Dragon Moon obtained a 6th tier water lotus. Is that true? It should be true. A 6th tier water lotus is only an acquired spiritual treasure. Although it is much more valuable than an acquired spiritual treasure, experts will occasionally obtain it. Azure Dragon Moon is a divine dragon of the ancestral dragon lineage. Tiskise, I was fortunate enough to see him transform into a divine dragon. He is too strong. The pinnacle bloodline is indeed the pinnacle bloodline. Just as Wang Xian was heading out, a few figures walked in from the entrance and started discussing. Divine dragon body. Wang Xian heard their conversation and raised his eyebrows slightly. It seemed like there was a divine dragon of the ancestral dragon lineage at the Heaven Everlasting River. Wang Xian continued to listen but did not get any more information. He shook his head and walked out. He moved and flew up into the sky. He looked in the direction of the Heaven Everlasting River and flew over. There used to be two powerful races living at the Heaven Everlasting River. These two races had the combat strength of a universe lord, and their numbers were not small. 10 billion years ago, one force was suppressed by another force, while the other force was annihilated by the astral beast. As a result, there were many grotto heavens and blessed lands there. Moreover, they were ownerless and no force dared to occupy them. These grotto heavens and blessed lands attracted many experts to cultivate in them. According to the information on the artificial intelligence, there were many experts at the Heaven Everlasting River. Some of them were there for cultivation, while others were looking for water lotus, a treasure of a water attribute cultivator. Wang Xian sped through the sky and bumped into some people from time to time. 7 days later, a humongous waterfall fell from the sky. At a glance, one could not see the end of the waterfall. It was like the water in the sky. The Heaven Everlasting River was below, and the ground was washed out by the water. The length was immeasurable. Given Wang Xian's speed, it would take him about 1 to 2 months to fly. The majestic river was filled with rising energy, just like a paradise. At the edge, there were many sailboats. However, the sailboats were not very big. There was a taboo in the Heaven Everlasting River. Intense battles were not allowed within the Heaven Everlasting River. It might attract the horrifying astral beast. Chapter 34-24. Is this the eternal river of heaven? Wang Xian looked at the river in front of him. His eyes flickered as he swept his gaze across. Different from ordinary rivers and oceans, the seawater of the eternal river of heaven was emitting a misty white mist. From afar, it looked like a celestial river. He flapped his wings and came above the river. Wang Xian could feel the warmth of the water. He dived into the river. The water temperature was comfortable, but the water of the eternal river of heaven was unusually deep. There are 2 blessed places in the eternal river of heaven. One is at the bottom of the river, and the other is on an island in the middle on the right. Wang Xian mumbled as he recalled the information about the eternal river of heaven. There were more than 2 blessed places in these 2 places. They were the territories of 2 major forces in the past. Around each territory, there were more than 10 blessed places. There were a lot of experts cultivating there. Wang Xian took out the ancient map and realized that the scenery on it had changed. The picture on the ancient map had changed, and so did the number of ships on it. In the past, there were only a dozen ships on it. Now, there were hundreds of them. The surface of the water on the ancient map was still rippling, forming a picture of a water lotus. Wang Xian made a move and immediately flew up into the sky. He swept his gaze across the surrounding ships. The number of ships on the ancient map is the same. What's the use of this ancient map? He was curious as he dived to the bottom of the river with the ancient map. He dived to the bottom of the river again. He scanned the surroundings cautiously and flew forward. The depth of the river was terrifying. However, the entire river bottom was glowing with a blue luster. This was the luster of the water attribute. Cultivating the water attribute here would yield twice the results with half the effort. Wang Xian swam quickly, observing the ancient map in his hand from time to time. Time ticked by. After flying for a day, the ancient map had also changed. There were no more ships on it, only seawater and ripples. This ancient map should be a type of treasure that detects things. What is it detecting? Water lotus? Wang Xian guessed as he continued flying. However, there were no changes to the ancient map for the next 10 days. Other than some changes, there were no other changes. This made Wang Xian feel a little helpless. But if this is a powerful treasure, the Great Tempest Academy will probably make use of it instead of keeping it in the vault. Wang Xian murmured. He hesitated for a moment as he looked at the ancient map. Then he injected some water attribute laws into it. When he injected the water attribute laws into it, the ancient map glowed and the ripples on it increased. Wang Xian was stunned for a moment before he injected the water attribute laws into it. The ripples on the ancient paper grew faster and faster. In the end, the pattern of the water lotus became clearer and clearer. Other than this change, there are no other changes. Wang Xian frowned. Could it be that the water energy was insufficient? With a flick of his palm, the 5 elements grindstone appeared in his hand. He placed the ancient drawing on the grindstone. He channeled all his energy into the 5 elements grindstone. The grindstone began to spin, transforming all of it into water-attributed energy that flowed into the ancient blueprint. Waves of majestic energy gushed into it. However, to Wang Xian's astonishment, the ancient blueprint did not change. Instead, the 5 elements grindstone underwent some changes. The water attribute laws of Wang from the king of the water and the Wang of the on of the water. The Xian and there was. Then it was gone. That's not right. According to the records, there were 2 races that once lived in the eternal river of heaven. One of them was a race that cultivated with 2 attributes, wood and water. Wang Xian murmured as his eyes flickered. He waved his arm and controlled the 5 elements grindstone. The wood and water elements surged into the ancient drawing. In the next moment, the ancient drawing changed again. The water lotus formed by the water ripples slowly moved to the front left. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly and flew in that direction. He flew at high speed. As he flew, the position of the water lotus didn't move. He frowned slightly and continued flying. Half an hour later, he realized that the position of the water lotus on the ancient map had changed. It was getting closer and closer to the center. In fact, it wasn't the water lotus that moved, but Wang Xian. Wang Xian was getting closer and closer to his target. After another 10 minutes, the ancient map showed the starting point of the water ripples. Wang Xian stood there and scanned the surroundings. As far as he could see, there were no treasures in sight. He looked down and flew straight down. The depth of the river was terrifying. He had been flying downwards for half an hour, but he still hadn't reached the bottom. It was like an abyss. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Just as Wang Xian continued to dive deeper, waves of ripples spread over. Soon after, Wang Xian sensed a terrifying attack approaching. Water snakes with lotus-like heads appeared. Due to their unique heads, they didn't look beautiful at all. Instead, they looked horrifying. Wang Xian shook his body and the Tai Chi dragon plate floated around him. Bam, bam, bam. Sounds of collisions were heard and Wang Xian's figure flickered. He wasn't afraid of competing in speed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. His arms turned into dragon claws with chains coiled around them. He grabbed at the water snakes. Swoosh, swoosh. The chains bound the water snakes. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and shook his arm. 5 Pinnacle Universe Venerable Water Snakes were killed instantly. Just like that, he got 5 Pinnacle Universe Venerable Corpses? This feels good. Swoosh. However, at this moment, another horrifying attack appeared. Wang Xian focused his eyes and smashed the 5 elements grindstone forward. Boom. A violent collision was heard and the 5 elements grindstone trembled slightly. One of the water snakes was sent flying. The azure blue eyes on the lotus head stared at Wang Xian. Water snake with the combat power of a first-order universe sovereign. Wang Xian's expression changed and he was shocked. There must be treasures here. He was certain. Otherwise, 5 Pinnacle Universe venerable water snakes wouldn't risk their lives to attack him. These water snakes wouldn't attack recklessly either. That is? He looked down and saw that he had already reached the bottom of the river. There was a lotus that was glowing brightly. The 1-meter lotus had yet to bloom and was exuding a strong vitality. Water lotus belonged to the water attribute and was also of the wood attribute. Water and wood had the strongest vitality. No wonder it attacked me. It's because of the water lotus. This ancient drawing is really powerful. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he stared at the water snake. You're courting death. He moved and flapped his unbeginning saint wings. In an instant he appeared before the water snake. Chapter 34-25. SSSSSSSSS. When the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm water snake saw Wang Xian appearing beside it, its azure blue eyes changed slightly and it lowered its head slightly. The refinement above its head expanded gradually and formed a strong defense. Boom! Wang Xian clawed at it with his dragon claws. A terrifying force landed on it and a huge wound appeared on its head. At the side, the 5 elements grindstone smashed towards it with destructive energy gathered on it. The water snake was sent flying backwards. It roared, and its eyes were filled with fear. It opened its mouth, and a water snake condensed from the laws of water attacked the lotus that had yet to bloom. Wang Xian frowned when he saw this. He moved and appeared in front of the water lotus. With a wave of his palm, he destroyed the water snake's attack. At the side, the water snake turned illusory and left in an instant. Wang Xian swept his gaze over and frowned. This water snake is really smart. If it didn't attack the water lotus, it wouldn't have been able to escape. He murmured. With Wang Xian's current strength and the 5 elements grindstone, experts of the same level could only dream of escaping. If Wang Xian were to encounter the expert in the black cloud previously, he was 100% confident that he could kill him, even if he had obtained another innate spiritual treasure. What grade is this water lotus? Wang Xian came to the front of the water lotus and sized it up. He sensed that its energy far exceeded that of ordinary acquired spiritual treasures. It should be a 6th grade acquired supreme treasure water lotus. The previous error has been corrected. Wang Xian murmured. A 6th grade water lotus was much more precious than an acquired treasure. The water lotus could be absorbed and used as a powerful weapon. As a weapon, it would be more powerful than an acquired treasure. This isn't fully mature yet. How long will it take to mature? He raised his eyebrows and hesitated for a moment before placing his palm on the water lotus. A branch extended from his finger and surges of energy flowed into it. Wang Xian was prepared to accelerate its maturity with the progenitor tree. To his surprise, the 6th grade water lotus that had yet to bloom seemed to be attracted by something as it gradually shifted to the roots of the progenitor tree. He was surprised. The water lotus entered his body and appeared on the progenitor tree in the Dragon Palace. That's surprising. Is it because of the water lotus? According to Wang Xian's understanding, the water lotus could grow continuously. In other words, as long as there was sufficient energy and time, it could grow to the level of a Tier 12 water lotus. A 12th-stage water lotus was a treasure that was even more powerful than a primordial supreme treasure. It was an absolute treasure of the universe. Wang Xian chuckled. After sensing the situation of the water lotus, he took out the ancient blueprint and continued reading. Is there a detection range? He continued to pour in water and wood elemental energy, but there were no changes to the water lotus on the ancient blueprint. He made a guess and flew forward. In the following month, he searched along the way, but did not encounter a second water lotus. This made him slightly speechless. Isn't the number of these water lotuses a little too little? After wandering around for another 2 days, his eyes lit up when he saw the changes on the ancient map. With a move of his body, he continued to fly forward. On the ancient map, there was another hint in front of him. Isn't this a blessed land of cultivation? I think it's called the Lotus Paradise. 40 minutes later, Wang Xian looked ahead with a slight frown. The Lotus Paradise was the place where the lotus race of the eternal river used to reside. There were more than a dozen paradise here, and they weren't very far from each other. As for the lotus race, it was the race that was annihilated by the giant galactic beast. At that time, their defense of the paradise was not enough to stop the giant galactic beast. Following the hint on the ancient map, Wang Xian continued to fly forward. Soon, he discovered other experts around him. And there were quite a number of them. All of them were water elemental cultivators. The Lotus Mountain is just ahead. As he continued to fly, Wang Xian saw a huge mountain at the bottom of the river. He flew upwards. There was a huge mountain above him, and the entire mountain was like a lotus emerging from the water. This mountain used to be the core of the lotus race. He flew to the top of the mountain. The entire mountain looked exactly like a real lotus, and it belonged to the Tier 12 category. The 12 petal peaks represented the residence of an expert from the lotus race. There was a huge hall in the center. However, all of this had been destroyed, and there were only some remnants that had been repaired. There were many people in this lotus mountain. At a glance, there were at least hundreds of thousands of people. Some were cultivating, while others were setting up stalls to trade. Wang Xian took a look at the ancient map, and with a move, he headed inside. According to the ancient map, there were water lotuses in the surroundings. This water lotus should have an owner. What a waste of time. Wang Xian surveyed his surroundings before flying ahead. There are quite a number of experts around here. Wang Xian came to the Lotus Mountain, and as he looked around, he could sense the power of more than a dozen universe lords. Most of the power came from the 12 petal peaks. Moreover, majestic energy was coming from within. That should be the core of the paradise, and it was beneficial for cultivation. Although this place wasn't occupied by other forces or races, there were quite a number of experts who came here to cultivate and occupy a treasure land. Tier 3 Water Lotus. Someone is selling a Tier 3 Water Lotus over there. What's so exciting about a Tier 3 Water Lotus? It's not very useful for us. It can be cultivated. Someone has cultivated a Tier 3 Water Lotus to Tier 6. That would require too much time and resources. Come, let's go and take a look. Behind him, two figures flew past Wang Xian quickly, and they were discussing excitedly. Wang Xian looked over, and there was indeed a water lotus. A Tier 3 water lotus was between acquired spiritual treasures and acquired cardinal treasures. However, it wasn't very useful for universe venerables of level 7 and above. Wang Xian made a move and flew over immediately. He could buy this kind of water lotus that could grow forever. With the progenitor tree around, it could evolve faster. A Tier 3 water lotus can be exchanged for an offensive and a defensive water-based acquired spiritual treasure. Or if you have enough resources, you can exchange for it too. An old man sat in the middle, and a matured water lotus was floating in front of him. His voice reverberated in the surroundings. "I'll take it." Wang Xian walked over, looked at it, and said, Chapter 34:26, I'll take it. Wang Xian walked over slowly and spoke directly. He was very interested in the water lotus. The progenitor tree could speed up the growth of the water lotus. Even if he couldn't use it now, he could take his time to nurture it. He might even be able to nurture it into a Tier 12 water lotus in the future. Oh! When the crowd saw Wang Xian asking for it, they were surprised and looked over to him. The selling old man revealed a smile. "I don't have any weapons, but these resources should be enough," said Wang Xian to the old man as he took out some water attribute fruits and presented them in front of him. "Great, it's enough." The old man's eyes lit up when he saw the fruits. Wang Xian waved his arm and the fruits came to the old man. The old man's eyes lit up as he kept the fruits. "Hold on. I want this water lotus too." Just when the old man passed the water lotus to Wang Xian, a voice was heard. Wang Xian was taken aback. The old man turned around immediately. From the side, two men and a woman walked over. They had 4 arms and a tail. All 4 of their arms were wielding sharp swords. They were over 2 meters tall and were covered in green. That's the people of Demonis Cave Master. They want it too. Seems like there's going to be a competition. When the crowd saw the three figures, they were shocked and whispered, "Demoness Cave Master?" Wang Xian was curious when he heard the title. "That honored one, I want this water lotus." When the three of them arrived, the leading lady said to the selling old man, "This." The old man looked at Wang Xian with embarrassment on his face. "Our deal is done," Wang Xian said plainly. He waved his arm and the water lotus in front of him flew towards him. Swoosh. However, when the water lotus flew towards him, a figure moved. He waved his arm and a thorn entangled the water lotus. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and looked at the lady who made a move. "I want this water lotus flower. I hope this supremacy will give face to my master, Demoness Grotto Master." The lady looked at Wang Xian plainly and said, "Disciple of Demoness Cave Master?" The surrounding experts were slightly taken aback when they heard his words. Hee. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head slowly. "I've already bought it. Heh, I can bring you into the Demoness Cave to train. Give me this water lotus." The woman chuckled and ignored Wang Xian. She looked at the old man beside her. "Cultivate in the Demoness Cave." The old man's expression changed. He looked at Wang Xian and gritted his teeth. "Honored sir, I'm not selling the water lotus anymore. It's a deal." Wang Xian looked at him. The divine fruit that he had traded with the other party had already been kept by him. "Do you still want to go back on your word?" "Sorry, it's already a deal." He would never agree. When the old man heard his words, his eyes flickered slightly. "Deal?" "Hee, honored sir, do you think you should sell this water lotus to him or to me?" The lady smiled and asked the old man. "Of course I'm selling it to you, venerable female." When the old man heard her words, his eyes flickered and he took 2 steps back. "Very good, so the water lotus is mine." The girl waved the sharp sword in her hand and spoke to Wang Xian without any hesitation. "How dare you be so arrogant here?" Wang Xian shook his head. In the next instant, his figure disappeared. Piercing sounds rang out. When he reappeared, he was already beside the water lotus. He stretched out his hand and put it away. Bam bam bam. At the side, the body of the lady fell to the ground. Along with her, the old man also fell to the ground. There was no sign of life. They died instantly without even a scream. This is? What a fast speed. He actually killed the disciple of the Demoness Cave Master. So strong. When the 2 corpses fell to the ground, the surrounding people were shocked and quickly took a few steps back. "How dare you kill our senior sister? You're courting death." The man beside the lady reacted. His expression changed drastically as he shouted sternly. Wang Xian looked at them and frowned slightly. He flicked his finger and a surge of horrifying energy entered their bodies instantly. Boom! An explosion sounded from their bodies and they died instantly. Courting death. This wasn't a city, nor was it the territory of some races. Wang Xian had seen some rules. Rules meant that there were no rules. Just now, the old man and the lady disobeyed the rules and tried to suppress him with their aura. However, that was purely courting death. Perhaps the lady was used to being arrogant or she had a powerful background. But what use was that? There would always be foolish people everywhere. He's an expert, but the 3 of them are the subordinates of the Demoness Cave Master. Does he not want to stay here anymore? That lady is a fool. Serves her right for offending others so casually. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they whispered softly. Boom! Right at this moment, a terrifying wave of energy covered the sky and covered the earth, shrouding this side. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they flew away immediately. "Who's courting death? How dare you kill my disciple?" A lady with 4 arms flew out from a petal hole on the peak of the Lotus Mountain. Her face was filled with intense murderous intent. She locked her gaze on Wang Xian. Without any hesitation, she attacked with her sword aura. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. The unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back instantly and he disappeared. Swoosh! In the next instant, he appeared beside the demoness. His arms turned into dragon claws and attacked the demoness. What? He's so fast. The demoness sensed Wang Xian's speed and was shocked. She immediately blocked with the 4 sharp swords in her hands. Boom! The powerful force immediately sent her flying. Boom boom boom. Large-scale battles are prohibited in the eternal river of heaven. No one is allowed to break the rules. Demoness Cave Master, if you want to fight, do it in the sky. Just as Wang Xian was about to continue his attack, a surge of aura came from the petal holes. A cold voice entered their ears. I know. The Demoness Cave Master wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and stared at Wang Xian with fear. Wang Xian looked at the petal holes below and did not continue his attack. He could sense a strong threat coming from these caves. All of them were at the level of a universe lord. Hey brother, I can see the aura of a divine dragon on you. Are you a new expert from the ancestral dragon lineage? At this moment, an imposing middle-aged man walked out from one of the holes and asked Wang Xian. Huh? Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man with flickering eyes. The other party was a divine dragon. Chapter 34:27. The aura of the wood element was filled with dense dragon might. His strength should be around the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Wang Xian looked at the imposing middle-aged man and a name popped up in his mind. Azure Dragon Moon. There was an azure dragon in the eternal river of heaven, which was of the wood element. Currently, the Dragon Palace had the Gold Dragon, Water Dragon, Fire Dragon, Wind Dragon, Thunder Dragon, and Darkness Dragon. The Azure Dragon was one of the missing dragons. At the sight of Azure Dragon Moon's kind expression, he cupped his hands together. You are not a disciple of the dragon ancestors' bloodline, but you are also of the divine dragon bloodline. You should be Azure Dragon Moon, right? I have long heard of you. Wang Xian said to Azure Dragon Moon. In the universe, apart from the sacred dragon bloodline, the other divine dragon bloodlines are all my friends. If you don't mind, you can come and be my guest. Qin Longyue laughed heartily and invited Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian felt the kindness and nodded his head slightly. This was the first expert from the ancestral dragon's lineage he had encountered. Moreover, he seemed to be quite easy to get along with. An expert of the divine dragon lineage. No wonder this lord dared to casually destroy the disciple of Grotto Master Demoness. In just one move, Grotto Mistress was injured. His strength is definitely at the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. At this time, Cave Mistress Demoness has met her match. In the surrounding area, some people saw this scene and were slightly shocked as they discussed. Cave Master Demoness gave him a vicious glare before returning to her cave abode with a flash. May I know your name? Wang Xian asked as he entered Qin Longyue's cave abode. Wang Xian. Wang Xian replied. Wang Xian? Which dragon palace's dragon king? Azure Dragon Moon faltered slightly and looked at him in surprise. I didn't expect Brother Azure Dragon to know that our dragon palace is just a small faction. Wang Xian couldn't help but ask when he recognized Wang Xian. This was the first time he was recognized after coming to the great desolate continent. The Dragon Palace's strength was very strong in the periphery. It was almost invincible and had a great reputation. But inside, it was unknown, and no one would pay too much attention to it. Brother Wang Xian, you're too humble. Because we're both from the divine dragon lineage, I've been paying more attention to it. I've learned a little about it through the universe AI. I never expected to meet the third leader of the divine dragon lineage in the universe. Azure Dragon Moon laughed heartily as he gestured for him to take a seat and poured him a cup of wine. With a wave of his hand, some delicacies appeared on the table. Our dragon palace can't be compared to the ancestral dragon lineage. The ancestral dragon leader has great courage and is admirable. Wang Xian said with a smile. His words were sincere. I do admire our leader, Qin Longyue exclaimed. He then looked at Wang Xian and said, however, I've also read about your deeds. Impressive. You're even more impressive than what the rumors say. You're too modest. Wang Xian shook his head. I wonder what Brother Wang Xian thinks of the sacred dragon tribe? Azure Dragon Moon suddenly asked. Evaluation? There's nothing to evaluate. Wang Xian was taken aback for a moment before he smiled. Since some people like to be lackeys, let them be. As long as we stand at the pinnacle again and rebuild the glory of the divine dragon lineage, it'll be sufficient. Haha, are you great? Our leader once said the same thing. If some people like to be lackeys, let them be. When we stand at the pinnacle again, we'll be the purest divine dragon lineage. Azure Dragon Moon laughed heartily as he picked up his cup. It's been a long time since I've met a brother from the divine dragon lineage. Cheers. Wang Xian picked up his cup with a smile on his face. Oh yes, brother Azure Dragon Moon. I've just arrived at the eternal river of heaven. Can you tell me more about the situation here? Wang Xian asked. Indeed, he didn't know much about the situation here. For example, the unspoken rules of the experts in the 12-petal caves. The eternal river of heaven is a chaotic place with no restrictions. However, there's an unspoken rule. Don't engage in any powerful battles here, lest you disturb the cosmic beast in the eternal river of heaven. Secondly, there are 2 grotto heavens in the eternal river of heaven. Our Lotus Grotto Heaven and my cave abode are top-notch places. You should be able to sense the energy here, which will greatly aid your cultivation. There are 12 such cave abodes, which are the 12-petal caves. Experts from 11 other forces and I occupy these places. We're known as the 12 Cave Masters. Our combat strength is at the first order and second order of the universe sovereigns. There's only one second order expert. Azure Dragon Moon explained to him. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. The energy here was indeed abundant, especially the water energy. Cultivating here for a day would be equivalent to cultivating for 100 days outside. Brother Wang Xian, you're strong. It shouldn't be difficult for you to become a cave master. You can challenge one of them. If you defeat them, this cave abode will belong to you. The Azure Dragon Moon continued. Challenge? How do I do that? Wang Xian asked curiously. You can challenge them directly. For example, the female demon cave master just now. You can challenge her at the entrance, and she will accept. After that, you can have a battle in the sky. If you win, she will have to leave this place. Azure Dragon Moon answered. That's pretty simple. Wang Xian nodded his head. There are 12 cave masters. Given your strength, as long as you don't challenge the Eternal Heaven Cave Master, the Water Mage Cave Master, or the Ice Emperor Cave Master, the rest shouldn't be a problem. Of course, the female Demon Cave Master should have great treasures. Azure Dragon Moon said. Eternal Heaven Cave Master, Water Mage, Ice Emperor? Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. Brother Azure Dragon Moon, I have another question. Are there many water lotuses in the Eternal Heaven River? How can there be so many treasures? If Brother Wang Xian is here for the water lotuses, you might have to search for them for a long time. I've been here for tens of thousands of years, and I've only found a 6th grade water lotus. Azure Dragon Moon smiled and shook his head. I heard that there are many water lotuses in the place where the water falls from the sky. Moreover, there are even 9th grade water lotuses. However, no one dares to go there. That giant star beast is there? Wang Xian asked curiously. I'm not sure, but the possibility is high. It's a genuine cosmic beast at the universe's sovereign realm. Even the experts from the pinnacle races might not be able to kill it. Moreover, they might even suffer its revenge. Although I'm not sure, no one dares to go there. Azure Dragon Moon said. All right. Thank you, Brother Azure Dragon Moon, for informing me. Wang Xian expressed his gratitude and nodded his head slightly. He had some thoughts in his mind. Come, have a taste of the snow lotus seeds I got from the snowy mountains above. TSK, they taste pretty good. Azure Dragon Moon gestured to him. The snow lotus seeds that were emitting blue radiance were comparable to the divine fruits of pinnacle universe supremacies. All right. I'm going to look for a cave abode to stay in. When the time comes, Brother Azure Dragon Moon, feel free to look for me if you need anything. Wang Xian smiled and said. Both of them could be considered as making friends. Chapter 34:28. Wang Xian and Qing Longyue chatted for a long time. He now had a detailed understanding of the Eternal Heaven River. Walking out of Qing Longyue's cave abode, Wang Xian moved and came to the front of Cave Master Demonis' cave abode. Cave Master Demonis, get out here. He stood in front and said plainly. His voice traveled into Cave Master Demonis' cave abode. Not far away, Qing Longyue leaned on his cave abode and watched the scene with a smile. That expert wants to challenge Cave Master Demonis. He exchanged a blow with Cave Master Demonis, and he clearly has the upper hand. It's a battle for Cave Master. Such a battle has not happened in a long time. It's going to be a huge battle. In the middle, everyone was shocked to see Wang Xian challenge the female Demonis Cave Master. This was the blessed grotto heaven of the Lotus race. At their peak, the Lotus race had the combat strength of a second-order universe lord. As their lair, their blessed grotto heavens were far more powerful than the blessed grotto heavens of other factions. The energy contained in each cave abode could not even be compared to a huge city like the Eternal Heaven City. In fact, in the Eternal Heaven River, a faction from the Eternal Heaven City occupied a place and became a cave master. Cave Master Demonis was a first-order universe lord. Even though she did not have her own faction, she was not someone to be trifled with. You're courting death. Within the Banshee Cave abode, the Banshee Cave Master snorted and flew out immediately. She locked her cold gaze on Wang Xian. Wang Xian chuckled. With a swift move, he flew up into the sky. Arriving at the sky above the Eternal Heaven River, he looked down at Cave Master Demonis with disdain. He was 100% confident that he could deal with Cave Master Demonis. I'm going to kill you. Cave Master Demonis exuded a blue glow. Her 4 arms wielded sharp swords and her face was hideous. She waved her 4 arms and a horrifying water current slashed towards the sky. Wang Xian moved and dodged it easily. The Cave Master Demonis roared and charged into the sky. At the same time, in the other 10 cave abodes, figures were watching the scene in front of them. The scene outside was shown on the screen. They were naturally paying close attention to an expert challenging a cave master. This person might be their competitor in the future. Wang Xian could vaguely feel the gazes from the surroundings. He smiled faintly. Energy flowed within his body. True dragon body, water divine dragon body. Dragon soaring cloud and mist. He growled and a huge cloud appeared in the sky, blocking everyone's line of sight. His gaze locked onto the Cave Master Demonis, who was charging towards him, and he immediately moved. Voila! Streams of water attacked Grotto Mistress Demonis. Grotto Mistress Demonis slashed with her sharp sword. Pu. Wang Xian's attack was nullified immediately. You killed my disciple, I will kill you this time. Sensing Wang Xian's attack, Cave Master Demonis' eyes lit up. In her opinion, the last time she was ambushed, the other party must have unleashed some powerful bloodline power. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to be so fast. Judging from his current fighting prowess, it was only SOSO. He was completely capable of fighting. He just had to be careful of his outburst. Wang Xian let out a low growl as he manipulated the water flow to form a divine dragon. Once again, he charged towards Cave Master Demonis. Demonis technique, water. Cave Master Demonis let out a low growl. One by one, demonesses formed from the water flow appeared. They swarmed towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and dodged continuously. He did not display his true strength. Yes, he was concealing his true strength. There were experts spying on him from below. Moreover, since Wang Xian was prepared to stay here for a period of time, he definitely could not reveal his full strength. When he revealed all his trump cards, it would be the most dangerous moment for him. Keeping some trump cards was also a precaution against some special situations. Wang Xian and Cave Master Demonis clashed. He did not use the 5 elements grindstone or unbeginning saint wings. He only relied on his mystique and battle techniques to fight. When he encountered some danger, he would flee quickly from time to showcase his speed. This would also prevent Cave Master Demonis from suspecting him. In a battle between experts, especially those of the same level, the battle would last for a long time if there wasn't too much suppression. Wang Xian was in no hurry as he played along with Cave Master Demonis. Time passed by hour. Below, everyone lifted their heads to watch the battle in the sky. They could only sense the horrifying might, but couldn't even see the shadow of it. Within the group of Grotto Heavens, experts were also spying on the battle. A day passed by quickly and the battle continued. No one was surprised. A battle for a day wasn't long. Who do you think will win? It's hard to say. A battle between universe dominators isn't something we can guess. I think it's the new lord. He seems very powerful. Cave Master Demonis is also very strong. A battle of this level will depend on who has more treasures and trump cards. Within the Lotus Mountain, the experts were discussing. Is Brother Wang Xian hiding his strength? Based on the information I received, he's very strong among those of the same level. He's almost invincible. What's going on now? Azure Dragon Moon looked at the battle in the sky. Because of the clouds, it could not see anything. Due to the raging energy, he couldn't see the exact situation of the battle. Demonis Realm. At this moment, a cold voice came from above. A humongous phantom of a demoness appeared in the sky and slashed downwards with her sword. A wave of horrifying energy filled the sky. Almighty Heavenly Dragon. A roar was heard. Everyone could vaguely see a horrifying divine dragon charging towards the demoness. When some people saw the divine dragon, they couldn't help but look towards Azure Dragon Moon. Could this lord be an expert from the ancestral dragon lineage? I don't think so. He just met Lord Azure Dragon Moon. Some people looked on in shock. Damn it. At this moment, Cave Master Demonis, who was in the middle of the battlefield, was extremely embarrassed when she saw the divine dragon. Her Demonis realm was suppressed by the divine dragon. Since the start of the battle, she was at a slight disadvantage. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as his unbeginning sacred wings shone brightly. Swoosh. In the next moment, he vanished instantly. This move again. Cave Master Demonis revealed a vicious look as she scanned the surroundings with vigilance. No, it's faster than before. At this moment, Wang Xian's voice was heard behind her. What? Cave Master Demonis was shocked. Chapter 34:29. A wave of horrifying energy pierced through the body of the Cave Master Demonis. The 5 elements grindstone was already on top of her head. You have been hiding your strength. How can you be so strong? Feeling her life force disappearing rapidly, the Cave Master Demonis was filled with disbelief and fear. Wang Xian smiled faintly with disdain in his eyes. It's a piece of cake to kill you. As he spoke plainly, the life force of the Cave Master Demonis disappeared rapidly. Wang Xian kept the corpse. With a wave of his arm, a wave of energy surged around him. A few seconds later, his body moved and he flew down to the ground. He won? Seeing Wang Xian flying down, Azure Dragon Moon raised his eyebrows and revealed a smile. Congratulations. He congratulated. Hee, we will be neighbors from now on, Brother Azure Dragon Moon. Wang Xian smiled and cupped his fists. Indeed, it's this lord who won. From the beginning of the collision, it seems that this lord is a bit stronger. One cave master has changed. That Cave Master Demonis must have escaped. Some people were discussing in the surroundings. As they did not hear the shrieks of the Cave Master Demonis, they instinctively thought that she had escaped back to her own holy kingdom. After all, it would be difficult to kill someone of the same level. The spying in the surrounding cave abode also disappeared quickly. Wang Xian moved and flew towards the cave abode of the Cave Master Demonis. With a wave of his arm, the stone tablet at the side was smashed into pieces. When he entered the cave abode of the Cave Master Demonis, there was nothing left. When the battle ended, some experts in the cave abode had already taken the items and left. The entire cave abode spanned over 10,000 kilometers and was decorated with magnificent buildings. These buildings were left behind by the Lotus race. It used to be the residence of the pinnacle experts of the Lotus race. Wang Xian wandered around the place. The energy here was abnormally abundant, making it suitable for cultivation. He made some arrangements and released the purple thunder snake to guard the entrance with a wave of his arm. He entered the palace in the center. At this moment, he suddenly sensed a change in the water lotus that he had just obtained. He kept the Tier 3 water lotus immediately after he obtained it. The progenitor tree automatically absorbed it. However, he realized that the Tier 3 water lotus had disappeared. The 6th grade water lotus next to him was slightly bigger than when he first got it. The small water lotus merged with the 6th stage water lotus? Wang Xian sensed it and confirmed the answer. Who would have thought that the progenitor tree would be able to improve the fusion speed of the water lotus? If I had enough water lotus, I would be able to upgrade the grade 6 water lotus to grade 9 very quickly. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. In a flash, he arrived at the entrance of the cave abode. He moved his palm and left a line of words in front of the cave. He bought all kinds of water lotuses at a high price. Although the words were a little vulgar, they were definitely useful. As one of the 12 cave masters of the Lotus Flower Peak of the Eternal Heaven River, he had a great reputation. His status was definitely not any weaker than that of the chiefs of some large cities or races. After all, the cave lord of the Lotus Flower Peak was a first-order universe sovereign. After engraving these words, he once again returned to the Immortal's Cave and threw the corpse of the female demon cave master into the Dragon Palace to let Shui Linglong's father advance a bit. Shui Linglong's father was a water dragon. If he broke through, he would become a first-order universe sovereign realm water divine dragon. This might be quite useful in the Heaven Eternal River. Therefore, Wang Xian sent a message to Tianzhen, asking him to come over to the Heaven Eternal River. Now that Tianzhen had completed his breakthrough, he already possessed the strength of a first-order universe sovereign. Within this realm, he was also an invincible existence. The main reason Wang Xian asked him to come over was to keep watch in the cave abode and set up some arrays in the surroundings. Greetings, Dragon King. Soon, Tianzhen arrived and greeted him. Wang Xian nodded his head and gave him some instructions. This included the possibility of someone selling water lotuses to Tianzhen after he left. Yes, Dragon King. Tianzhen nodded his head. This was a small matter. Wang Xian moved his palm and took out the ancient map. On it, it showed the existence of water lotuses. This should be a water lotus with an owner. His figure moved and he flew out, deciding to search the surroundings. If he could get his hands on some water lotuses, it would be extremely beneficial to him, be it as a weapon or for him to devour. Flying from the Lotus Flower Peak, Wang Xian headed towards the place where the water from the sky fell. According to the information from Green Dragon Moon, there might be a Tier 9 or even a legendary Tier 12 water lotus there. However, there was a terrifying giant star beast there. Wang Xian wasn't arrogant enough to think that he was a match for that giant star beast. However, he wasn't satisfied if he didn't check it out. The main reason was the existence of the ancient map. He still had a special method. Shuttling through the Heaven Eternal River at high speed, he would occasionally encounter some wild beasts. The wild beasts here were extremely strong. If he wasn't careful, he would suffer a heavy blow or even die from a sneak attack. Wang Xian had to be more cautious. For the next month, he shuttled through the river at high speed. With the ancient map, he didn't have to search as carefully as others. The ancient map covered a huge area. It was so huge that he had to fly for dozens of minutes. This allowed him to explore the water lotuses at an exceptional speed. Boom, boom, boom. After flying for 2 months, a deafening roar came from the front. Wang Xian looked over and was astonished. In the sky, a terrifying torrent of water descended. The terrifying might and sound traveled very far. This was an incomparably vast waterfall that reached the heavens. At this time, Wang Xian looked at the ancient map. Just as Green Dragon Moon had said, there were water lotuses below the water in the sky. Moreover, on the ancient map, the water ripples formed 4 to 5 water lotuses. This meant that there were 4 to 5 water lotuses in this area. The nearest one is also at the edge of the water in the sky. If I go there myself, I might trigger that giant star beast. Wang Xian frowned as he looked at the information on the ancient map. Actually, he had an idea, and that was Enlai. Enlai had an ancient oil lamp. After more than 10 years, he had accumulated a lot of vitality fluid. The defense of the ancient oil lamp should be able to withstand a blow from a real universe dominator. This was also the reason why he came here to take a look. I can let Enlai take the risk to pluck the water lotuses at the edge. As for the deeper parts, I'll let Enlai act according to the situation. Wang Xian murmured and immediately contacted Enlai. Soon, Dark Blaze's figure appeared in front of the demon soul altar. Chapter 3430, Dragon King? Enlai looked at Wang Xian and bowed respectfully. Have you brought the ancient oil lamp and vitality fluid? Wang Xian looked at Enlai and asked. Yeah, I've brought them. Enlai nodded. Alright, Enlai, calculate the distance ratio on this ancient map. Later on, go to this location. There's a water lotus here. Go and see if you can get it. Don't force it. There's a terrifying existence at the Universe Lord level here. Be careful. Escape immediately if you encounter it. Bring the 5 elements grindstone with you. It can show the location of the water lotus on the ancient map. I'll remind you through the 5 elements grindstone. Wang Xian instructed Enlai with the ancient map in his hand. Alright, Dragon King. I'll be careful. Enlai nodded. His eyes flickered as he looked up. Enlai nodded. His figure moved and disappeared in an instant. He teleported around and calculated the distance shown on the ancient map and the distance he teleported. Subsequently, he teleported forward. Wang Xian sat cross-legged at the bottom of the river and sensed from afar. The 5 elements grindstone was equivalent to Wang Xian's eyes. He could see everything around the grindstone. He could also communicate with Enlai. However, Wang Xian didn't say anything and watched quietly. Enlai's teleportation speed was terrifying. Without any pause, he teleported rapidly. After a dozen seconds, Enlai approached rapidly. It's just ahead, Enlai. Be careful of your surroundings. There might be wild beasts guarding around. Wang Xian reminded him. He was vigilant of his surroundings through the 5 elements grindstone. Enlai was still a little weak. His observation skills were much weaker than Wang Xian's. Therefore, Wang Xian acted as his eyes and reminded him. Teleport a short distance to get closer. Be careful. Wang Xian continued to remind him. Enlai's figure flickered and he teleported over immediately. I see it. As Enlai approached, Wang Xian focused his eyes on the water lotus. A 6th grade water lotus. Be careful of your surroundings. There's a 90% chance that there's a powerful wild beast guarding. Found it. Behind that water lotus. Do you see it? It's a fish-like wild beast with a pointy head. It should be a first-order universe lord. Soon, Wang Xian sensed the dire beast guarding the water lotus through the 5 elements grindstone. Dark Lai, teleport to the right. I'm scouting. Wang Xian ordered. It's Dragon King. Enlai replied and scanned his surroundings vigilantly. His life was very fragile here. Buzz. Once Enlai's figure disappeared, Wang Xian immediately looked around. Do it. Snatch the water lotus and teleport away. I will protect you through the 5 elements grindstone. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and spoke after confirming. Buzz. Enlai instantly appeared in front of the water lotus and directly reached out to grab it. Buzz. At the same time, 5 divine dragon shadows appeared around Enlai, protecting him completely. The moment Enlai appeared, the terrifying fish in front of him moved. He had sharp thorns, and like a swordfish, he dashed forward in an instant. Enlai sensed it. He clenched his teeth and plucked the water lotus completely. Bam! The terrifying fish-type wild beast's sharp head smashed into the 5 elements grindstone's defense. Dark Blaze's figure instantly disappeared. Success! Seeing Enlai succeed, Wang Xian revealed a smile. A Tier 6 water lotus was priceless. Especially such a treasure, which was incomparable to a postnatal cardinal treasure. Dragon King, I got it successfully. That wild beast's attack speed is too fast. Enlai returned very quickly and reported with a smile. Alright, leave it to me. Let's continue the operation. However, the next target is at the place where the water from the heavens fell. It might be even more dangerous there. Do what you did just now. Wang Xian said to him. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded. Fortunately, Enlai is around. Otherwise, I wouldn't even dare to go there alone. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he watched Enlai leave. Even though his speed was terrifying, he didn't dare to enter recklessly with the reminder of the Azure Dragon Moon. If he were to disturb the galactic beast at the Universe Dominator level, he would definitely be courting death. The possibility of him escaping was extremely low. After all, such a galactic beast could exert immense pressure on Wang Xian with just its aura alone. With a flick of his palm, the Tier 6 water lotus entered his body and appeared on the progenitor tree. He sensed that the two water lotuses were beginning to fuse. Could the fusion of two Tier 6 water lotuses improve it? He mumbled to himself as he looked at the speed of fusion. Then he focused his attention on the 5 elements grindstone again. Enlai continued to move forward and came to the front of the second water lotus very quickly. However, at this moment, streams of water surged from above, causing the pressure at the bottom of the river to increase tremendously. As the water from the heavens fell, this place was already covered. This made Enlai even more vigilant. On the 5 elements grindstone, the heads of the 5 divine dragons popped out slowly and scanned the surroundings with vigilance. Continue approaching, Wang Xian ordered. Enlai teleported immediately. When the water lotus appeared in Wang Xian's senses, he frowned slightly. He could already see the water lotus, but he didn't sense any wild beasts guarding the surroundings. This didn't make sense. After all, the eternal river was still the domain of the wild beasts. The appearance of the water lotus would definitely be discovered by the wild beasts. However, there weren't any wild beasts around. It was highly possible that he didn't sense them. Enlai, I can't sense any wild beasts. Be careful. Wang Xian reminded him. Enlai nodded. After hesitating for a moment, he teleported again. After teleporting to another direction, Wang Xian scanned the surroundings again and still couldn't find anything. Be careful. He reminded again. Dragon King, I'm going to strike now. Enlai frowned slightly and said, All right. Wang Xian nodded. He had no other choice but to let Enlai strike. With the ancient oil lamp, it shouldn't be a problem. Enlai's figure appeared in front of the water lotus instantly. Without any hesitation, he grabbed at it. The 5 elements grindstone raised its defense. At this moment, a horrifying tentacle swept towards Enlai. So fast. Enlai's expression changed drastically as he gritted his teeth and grabbed at the water lotus. Be careful. It's a wild beast with at least second-order universe sovereign combat strength. Wang Xian warned as his expression changed drastically. Bam! The horrifying tentacle landed on the defense of the 5 elements grindstone, and the defense collapsed immediately. A smear of red light enveloped Enlai's body and blocked the tentacle's attack. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, countless tentacles swarmed over and covered him completely. Enlai heaved a sigh of relief as he teleported with the water lotus. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.